The 2022-23 Indian football domestic season was a rather strange one if you're a fan of Bengaluru FC. On one hand, you could say that it was a pretty good season for them because they ended up making it to not one, not two, but three cup finals. Yes, they made it to the finals of the Durand Cup, they made it to the finals of the Indian Super League, and they also made it to the finals of the Hero Cup. Unfortunately, they only ended up winning one of those trophies, and even the one trophy they did win was probably the one that most people weren't really considering the biggest of those three, which was of course the Durand Cup. They ended up losing the ISL final to ATK Mohun Bagan, or the team that was then known as ATK Mohun Bagan, now known as Mohun Bagan Supergiant or simply Mohun Bagan. What's more, they ended up losing out the Super Cup final to Odisha FC, who themselves ended up peaking rather nicely towards the latter stages of the season, and that has led to just a little bit of, let's say, changes within the Bengaluru FC squad as they enter another season where they will be expected to be competing right up there with some of the top teams of Indian football. However, that change has actually manifested itself in a lot of, let's say, transfers in and out of the club, which can often be a double-edged sword, because on one hand it is good that you have something of a clear out where you get rid of players who didn't want to be there and you bring in fresh talent who want to be playing for your club. On the other hand, it can lead to a bit of a phase where you're not necessarily competing for top trophies. Bengaluru unfortunately have come in that phase where if you look at the kind of transfer dealings they've had, whether it be players who've left or players who have come into the club, where they do tend to give off that vibe that they may be, just maybe, in for a bit of a season of transition. At least that's how I feel. But let's first go over what exactly are the changes that have been made to this side, and then go into what it is that the impact could be on their chances going forward. First, let's look at the players who've left the team, and believe you me when I say there's a fair few of them. First off, you had Mungnungaya Moerang, who was more of a squad player. Then you had Jayesh Rane, who's left the side on loan, so could actually be coming back to the side come next season. But more of the bigger ones who have left, there's Harmanpreet Singh, Sharon Paratil, Leon Augustine. But go further down and then you see some of the bigger losses. Sandesh Jingan, probably one of India's best defenders, if not India's best defender, ended up leaving the club. Prabir Das was a good squad player again. Roy Krishna, someone who had found a pretty decent partnership with the likes of Sunil Chhetri and Udanta Singh, also ends up leaving. Bruno Ramirez, again another crucial player in that squad last year, has departed. And of course Udanta Singh himself, which did catch me off guard a little bit, because Udanta is someone who's come through Bangaluru's youth academy, someone who is in many ways BFC through and through. He's only really played for one proper club throughout his senior career, and it was a bit surprising to see that he had left Bengaluru FC, but his playing time had reduced significantly, so in a way I guess it makes sense. But again, look at some of those names, guys who would be walking into pretty much any Indian football club. Udanta Singh into the playing 11s easily. I'm not even talking about as a squad member, I'm talking about in the playing 11. Someone like a Sandesh Jingan starts anywhere he goes. Someone like an Udanta Singh starts anywhere he goes. Same can be said about a Roy Krishna. Again, these are big players, all of whom have left, and not just big players, but players who formed part of the core team. So again, you've lost 2 or 3 arguably core members. It might just go on to hurt you. But that being said, they have brought in a few interesting players as well. There's of course Ryan Williams, who comes in from continues the talent exodus that ensures that the A-League, Australia's league, ends up sending over a lot of talent to the ISL. Ryan Williams is another one of them, and Ryan Williams interestingly has a little bit of Indian origin because his mother was born in Mumbai, so there's an interesting story there. But even if you go through the rest of the list, a lot of these players, well, they're pretty good players in terms of the kind of roles you would expect them to fulfill. We can show this full screen. So you've got Ryan Williams, of course. There's Jessel Carniero, who was someone who played a pretty key part for the Kerala Blasters, would be a good addition at left back for them. Shankar Sampingraj, Curtis Main. Then the Salam Johnson Singh, another useful player, Rohit Danu, Slavko Damajnovic. Now, this one was an interesting one in the sense that they've pretty much replaced Sandesh Jingan with Slavko, and that's a good like-for-like replacement because, again, Jingan is someone who brings quality in defense. Slavko is someone who guarantees that as well and was part of the Mohun Bagan side that lifted the ISL last year. Then, of course, in Vikram Singh and Halicharan Narsari, you have 2 more useful Indian squad players. So, in a sense, you can say that they've done a reasonably decent job of replacing some of that talent. Someone like a Ryan Williams would pretty much slot in to the position that was vacated by Roy Krishna. Slavko Damjanovic would pretty much slot in to the position which Sandesh Jingan took up with so much assuredness during his time at Bengaluru FC. But even then, is there a guarantee that all of these players coming in is going to set Bengaluru FC up for another run at the title? Remember, this is a Bengaluru side that was so good that it needed a penalty shootout in the final to ensure that they were separated from Mohan Bagan. And remember, Bengaluru actually were the better side for large parts of that final. Their one major problem was they didn't quite make all of their chances count, and their defending at times was just a little bit slack and left a little bit to be desired. That being said, I personally am not very sure that revamping the squad the way they have was necessarily the answer. In fact, Bengaluru FC themselves don't normally have a history of letting go of a lot of players and then bringing in a lot of players. So this was a little bit of a surprise to me to see this happen. But Bengaluru FC, in fact, they do have a history of being one of those teams that prefers longevity. So maybe, just maybe, this is something that they were seeing as a necessary rebuild that would set the club up for the next 3, 4, 5 years and potentially ensure that they can target more domestic success and potentially even continental success if they can make it to the AFC Cup. So it does seem like this may be a season of transition, but again, this is a side that does have a lot of quality, so it would be impossible to count them out when you're talking about, of course, a race to the playoffs or maybe potentially even another appearance in the finals. That's my take on this entire matter, though. You can let us know yours in the comments below, and please don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap the bell icon, leave us a comment, follow us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook, tap that bell icon, leave us a comment, and also please don't forget, if you're already on the channel, go ahead, check out some other videos that we've done. But for now, from my side, it is goodbye.